It is 4:03 p.m. Today is Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. This is the Bluff Town Council regular meeting. Roll call.
Linda Sosa,
Jennifer Davila,
Luanne Hook,
Britt Hornsby,
Ann Leppanen. Erin Nelson is excused. She's the town manager. The first thing will be an approval of Bluff Town Council meeting minutes from July 2nd, 2024. Has everyone received them, read them, and are there any changes or modifications?
I had one simple one that I emailed to you. Did you get it, Linda? No, I wondered. It was, it's number 6 in the discussion about Canyon Country Discovery. It says they got a grant again. I mentioned it again, but they didn't get another grant. It's just, they've only had one. So if you just cross the again out.
so
Number 6.
isn't that, so we're on July 2. 6, so you're talking, I think,
Okay, I
the
don't,
9th.
okay.
So, okay, I'll note that one.
Okay, so July 2nd.
Okay,
Yeah, July
so
2nd
July
is-
2nd, we need to approve. Any,
motion to approve the minutes from July 2nd.
I will second the motion.
any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It's unanimous. Then we'll move to the Bluff Town Council work session minutes from July 9th, 2024. And so those are the first half of what we did on July 9th. So has everybody read those minutes?
Yes.
Any changes, any points of discussion?
That's just the one in number 6. That's the one that has number 6.
So,
Oh, no, what world?
Okay, I see
so
it.
they've only received, so when they've come before, it wasn't because of the grant?
Right.
Okay, so that's the word again of the 5th line from the bottom of that paragraph.
And that's in the work session?
Yes.
Sweet. So I motion to approve the minutes from the work session July 9th with Luanne's corrections.
Second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It's unanimous. Then the last is the approval of the Bluff Town Council special meeting minutes from July 9th, 2024.
So Erin, so my Mac that I do these on, when it goes to sleep, if you haven't saved something, it disappears. And so I had to redo 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, and Erin caught that on 11, when I redid it, it didn't have the vote. And so I did change that so that it has the correct copy, does have the vote.
And then in 11, the discussion that Erin and I had by email was that there didn't seem to be a lengthy recitation of a discussion about the grant applications, but in these minutes, but in the June 18th minutes, there was a discussion about the grants and what would be applied for. So I think that if you reference the June 18th
Okay.
meeting minutes as having a discussion at number, whatever the number is, that will take care of that. Any other changes or points of discussion?
Motion to approve the minutes from the, sorry, I'm trying to pull everything up. Town Council meeting minutes from July 9th, 2024 with Linda's comments.
Second.
Any further discussion? Then all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Fine.
Anyone opposed? It's unanimous. Public comment, because Erin Nelson isn't here and she usually runs the public comment. I'm going to just ask if there's no one in the audience. That makes that easy to make a public comment. There's a 3-minute time limit for any person wishing to make a public comment. If you exceed the 3-minute time limit without permission, the meeting controller will mute you. And prior to the meeting, you should have put your name in the chat box or raised the hand icon. It doesn't look like we have anyone in the chat or raising a hand in the icon. I will give a minute here, since we didn't have it set up the way we usually do, to see if anybody in that's virtual wants to make a comment. Well, I'm going to assume that that's a no. Before we move to unfinished business, I would like to introduce Melanie Daniels, who is here in the meeting with us. We hired Melanie. Today is her first day, and she so far has survived it and not quit, so that's a plus. She is hired as the bookkeeper note taker, and she will be sitting in on the meetings to get used to taking the notes, and starting the first part of August, she'll move into that. She has a fair amount of experience with note taking, and that should move pretty seamlessly. The bigger piece is learning all the ins and outs of the bookkeeping, but we're super excited. It feels like, again, it's another big step forward for setting, more systems up in place, having somebody else, so that if and when Linda and I ever leave for whatever reason, we have people who know the job and are doing the job. So Melanie, thank you. We'll be posting something kind of in terms of what her hours will look like, where she might be, but for the most part, I think for now, just reaching out virtually is a good way to do it. Once Erin gets back into town, we'll figure it out. Melanie will be taking over office 2. I will once again be homeless, which is just fine. And so Melanie will share with Kathy Carson. I haven't had a chance to talk with Kathy, but I'm not concerned about that. So she'll be getting a desk and getting things set up.
Should we turn and let you wait?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's
Oh,
see.
hello.
How you-
Hello.
Are you able to do that? Good job. We're really excited. So that's kind of the update on number 1, update on hiring the project manager and bookkeeper note taker. Before we move to the project manager, Linda, is there anything you want to add about bookkeeper and note taker?
Well, it is a transition. So I will be training Melanie, and it just takes a while, and so we have time. I mean, we have a year and a half. So fortunately, there's no rush. So which will make things easier. So it'll be good.
So on hiring the project manager, we did offer the EPA government-to-government grant project manager job to Malia Collins. She accepted that position. She's already put in some time getting ready to familiarize herself with the grants. It's not just the EPA grant, because the other 3 grants and possibly more grants will dovetail into that. So it's really a big project. And again, I'll be working with Malia. As we all know, office space is a premium right now. And she and I have talked about a couple of options. We'll be exploring those in the next week. And then again, when Erin Nelson gets back, hopefully we can finalize it. But in the meantime, Erin isn't here, so Malia will be using Office 1 if she needs that. And then I'm open to suggestions. A couple of thoughts I had is because Malia will need space to spread out. She and I talked about the principal's office at the Cooperative Cultural Center, because that does have lights in it. We didn't tear out the ceiling. It might be a good workspace because there are those 2 rooms there, a bathroom, and she can do her laundry at the same time. So, you kind of have that space. We could clean it out so that it's usable for, particularly I'm thinking of like architectural plans and drawings and things that have to be spread out. That would enable us then to be able to work to find suitable office space for Malia. But I think the big thing right now is she is gearing up to work with Erin on the walkthrough on,
25th.
I was trying to think about what month it was. July 25th, for any potential bidders. And in line with that, she's ordering kind of OSHA required hard hats. We've got to have them on site. We don't want people in there. And some other safety types of tools on AEDs and things like that. So by the 25th, that should be started, and then it will be a matter of trying to reallocate space here and use what we can use at the CCC in the meantime. The closer she is to the site, the better it will be for Malia. And I think we have some options. So,
It's good, it's an option.
yeah,
Office in the trenches. I like it. That's pretty fun.
and it's not an ideal once they get the construction going, but it could get us to the point of being able to get to the construction, and then we'll just make whatever adjustments we have to make.
You could also put, pin things on the wall. So it's not just, horizontal space. That's going to give her a little more.
Yeah, I think there are some workable ideas with doing this. And we just have to be creative because we just really don't have one more office that we.
There's also that small, there's also that small room that's off to the east side of the stage. Might be a little warm in there right now. Because
It might feel like she's hiding from everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, so the stage, and then it's out towards the playground doors. There's a small room that it's got a lot of bookshelves and that stuff.
Is that like Melissa Eggy's old office?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Melissa Eggy's
okay.
old office, yeah.
Oh, okay, I know where that is from that description.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
think,
not huge, but you could maybe utilize the stage for similar type stuff, and that area has been pretty undisturbed as well.
right, that's gonna stay really undisturbed, and we are going to have to hang up that plastic sheeting to keep the construction dust out of the kitchen, because we've been cleared on the kitchen for internal use, and it's something I just hadn't bothered to do since there was no rush, but I think that's something that we could get done and block off any debris.
There's also the equipment storage room, which is just to the north of the kitchen. That's in that same, that's a bigger space. No windows, there's, I mean, so.
Is that like you go through the kitchen?
No,
No,
you come into the stage. from
So-
the-
so there's the bathrooms off to the north by where we were talking about setting up the preschool, or maybe,
Okay,
and then there's that door that goes to the double doors, and then just right next to that,
Right.
the double doors, there's a pretty large room in there that was like playground equipment storage.
Where
so
you
we-
would come into the food service, it's right here.
It's right
before you
next to
get to the windows. And
Yeah,
then
right
go out.
before the food line. It
There's a
backs
room,
basically the wall where the, I'm kicked out. Did we just lose our? It basically runs on the wall where the dishwasher is the opposite wall of that closet.
oh,
It's
so where the
it's not,
janitor,
it's not a closet.
so
per
it's where
se,
the
but
janitor stuff is.
Maybe.
Yeah, it has shelving. Yeah. We can, certainly take a look. I think that's worth a walk through with Malia and try to look at what space there is.
Wherever it is, we need to be sure it belongs.
That door definitely does, that equipment room definitely
Yeah,
does
we,
lock. I
we
know
need
that.
lights and locks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm leaning toward the principal space
Yeah,
just
I
because there's so much of it.
Yeah, I
But
think that's great.
let's just keep the options open. We have 19,000 square feet. Okay, so that's the update. Any questions about project manager, bookkeeper, note taker?
Welcome aboard. It's awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both of you. Malia's on the call and Melanie's here in person.
I was thinking the other night when I was laying around feverish that when you look back at 2018 and we took that picture of the 5 of us, right? And now we have the 5 of us. We have 5 planning and zoning. We have a manager, we have a bookkeeper, note taker, we have a community manager and a project manager. So I want to do a group photo once the weather cools down and we can all kind of do that because we've really grown. So thanks.
Yes, I agree with Malia.
All right, number 2, update on the 2023 audit of Larson. Linda?
Well, they started Monday or Tuesday, I think, quickly after the start of the new fiscal year. And so they just wanted a few things signed, and they wanted, so they want access to certain data like our PTIF, and they will be wanting access to our various bank accounts. That hasn't come up yet, but it will, and that costs us about $20 a bank account. So they have definitely started, and the real work, I believe, is supposed to start around the 9th of August, which is when we start going, answering questions and sending them information and canceled checks, invoices, all that kind of thing. So actually, it's kind of good to do it early in the fiscal year.
And Melanie will be involved with you on that, I assume, on the audit.
No,
I think what the training program is that we've talked about is keeping Melanie out of the audit until she's learned all the systems that lead up to it. It would be harder at this point to kind of try to train Melanie during an audit on how to do the audit. She's not going to have enough of a background. I think it just would slow things up. So Erin and I had talked about, Erin set up a pretty good training program for Melanie, learning the systems. When you think about it, that's really only less than 4 weeks away. And yeah, so no, not that she won't hear about it or find out things about it, but it's just that the actual audit will be done by Linda, myself to some extent, and Erin to some extent.
yeah, because there's so much. There's so much you have to keep straight. It doesn't help having an extra person, and it would be pretty boring to watch us collect invoices and things. But you will be present, so you will get a little bit of an idea of how it works.
How often does this audit happen?
It happens every year. So it's once we close out the fiscal year, then we can expect that Larson will have already worked with our accountant, Dave Sanderson. So like in June, Dave Sanderson and Larson, someone from that team, had already worked on going through Polaris, changing captions so that things were clearer, not making any substantive changes, just doing things that fit more within auditing language. And then that allows the auditors to ask Linda the specific questions. But it's every year. I think our cost now is around 13, 14, 15,000. And we should hold, well, okay, it's a good point to tell everybody this. We should hold at that level. That being said, if we expend more than $750,000 in the 2024 fiscal year of federal monies, We will then move into something I don't even want to think about, audit. It's a whole another level of auditing, and it's much more detailed because it's the actual federal government coming in. So the goal that Erin and I have talked about, and will be when Erin and I are both full steam back for 2024, is how do we best utilize our grants in such a way that we don't hit that threshold. And we may not be able to avoid it, but if we can, it's to our fiscal advantage to not hit the threshold. But we have no way of knowing. So stay tuned on that. Any questions for Linda about the audit?
Good luck.
Well, the good thing is Larson is really easy to work with, so.
No, it's always gone well. I don't mean that as a joke at all. It's just, it's always gone well, but I know it's a pile of work, so.
And it comes right on our lovely depositions with the Honorable Bruce Baird. Can't wait to go from depositions to audits. Okay, number 3, report on the Bluff Waterworks meeting on July 10th. Linda and I went to it. It was another record,
Uneventful.
uneventful 7-minute.
I have to admit, since I didn't get home until 2:00 in the morning, I have not listened to my taped minutes of it.
It was extremely uneventful. It was literally one of the 2 fastest we've ever done.
Good.
It was in and out. In fact, those of us in the audience were watching, Mark's watched the wrong clock wanting to start earlier. It's like looking at, everybody's like, no, that clock is wrong, you can't start yet. But yeah, it was uneventful. Gary Lichtenstein is on fire duty, so there was no movement on the strategic plan.
One thing that did come up was our water bills are all late, and they're going to be later, and which for me is a little bit of a problem because I need it in the last fiscal year. So I'm waiting patiently. But because Melanie has been gone. Melanie's on vacation.
But they, at the last meeting before, they said there was a problem with QuickBooks and integrating QuickBooks back and forth. And that a lot of people are having that problem. And so they said then that the bills would be 2 or 3 months late possibly. So.
Yeah.
Well, that may be one of those things that we have to just ask if they can give us a bill, just read it and give it to us, and then have to integrate it into the system later.
Yeah,
I
or
don't
an
know if
estimate,
that-
you know, just do an
Actually,
estimate.
we have to get it in that fiscal year. But we can cross that bridge some other day.
Do our water bills fluctuate a lot?
CCC doesn't fluctuate at all. Ours does a little in the summer. So, I mean, I could actually write checks for it.
That's what I was gonna
the
say, is
thing
maybe
to
just
is
do an
just-
estimated amount and just write the check for what the last month was.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
And I don't think we've done any watering this year here, like last year. I think there was a point we actually used water. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Give
I
that a
like
try.
that.
Then number 4, report on Bluff's Planning and Zoning Commission work session. Lou?
Yes, there was a quickly held meeting for July 10th. I wasn't able to attend it, but I've listened to the recording and looked at the minutes. One of the topics was whether or not solar panels need land use clearances and building permits. So they were, and they're also working on the LUC chart, which the land use clearance chart, whether or not, when you look at it as the public, they've got a great one, and it's on our website. If you're doing this, then go here. If you're doing this, then go here. What do you need? So they were charting all of that together at the same time, and they are going to send it to San Juan County for their eyes on it, planning and zoning, and the building inspector, so that the communication is a little more connected and the working relationship stays strong. And then they were looking at the sign permit application in tweaking that a little bit, but they have a meeting tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. And it was a work session, so there weren't any land use clearances or anything. That was pretty much the bulk of the meeting. And Ann, weren't you on? Were you on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't recall being on, it doesn't mean a thing, that's just what. No, I don't think I was. All right, any questions for Lou? Ed Dobson is in the audience. He came in about 15 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. Did you have a comment since you're on planning and zoning?
Yes, I had, in a conversation with a couple of people, commented about the 24-hour advance notice on the posting of the notices. And I'm afraid I might have been misunderstood. My idea is that they should be posted 48 hours ahead, not that they were too late.
Was that in the meeting?
I wasn't there at the meeting. I didn't know about the work session on the 10th, and I'm the guy who's supposed to post the notices. So apparently they did not get posted in time, and I thought I had an understanding with the rest of the commissioners that if you don't hear from me about I'm going to get posted, I don't know about the meeting. But nobody followed up to see if I knew, so I didn't know.
And there were just 3 in attendance, but it was enough to do a quorum to do their working. But no decisions were made.
Well, I mean, the only problematic part is if it wasn't posted properly. That,
I don't know.
yeah, and I don't either. And quite honestly, I'm not going to follow up on it, but it's a good reminder to all of us that we need to. And I like the suggestion of using 48. 24 is the least you have to do, but trying to get it out ahead of the 24 in case something pops up is always a better route, but not always doable. Then moving to number 5, report on design review committee meeting of July 16th, 2024, and an update on the progress of Utah Dene in the grant process. I canceled the meeting today that was scheduled for July 16th because we didn't have anything to really work on or talk about, and so I felt like it was kind of futile to try to get Utah Dene into town to do nothing. However, I am absolutely thrilled to report that UDB now is in a position to be able to pull down their $200,000 grant piece of it. They completed the SAM registration and the anti-lobby form has been done. I got that
Yay.
Friday
Excellent.
and filed, and Sina from the EPA verified that was received and filed. And then yesterday, was it this morning? Yes,
It was
this morning. Janice Loman, she was notified that the SAM number had been renewed and was up and available. There is a meeting with the EPA with April Nowak and Sina on the 25th of July to touch base on any other possible loose ends. There may be one loose end on our anti-discrimination policy. Erin and I believe we have everything done for it, but all these policies are handled in different areas of the EPA and the government. And so while we know we've passed the resolution, we know it's on the website, we know we have everything posted. What we're getting looks like an automated message from that Civil Rights Division. And so Sina wanted to touch base with the team just to be sure that we had covered it, but we are fully operational now on both sides.
That's great. Thanks.
I'll tell you, between Erin and the EPA, it got done. So now we're
Yes.
good for a year, and I hope I hope you all learned a lesson. We don't wait till the last minute to figure Sam out. It's a nightmare. But we're good. There will be a meeting next week.
Did we use the old address or the new address is the question.
I believe the address was the 630, and of course, I left that sitting at home. I printed out the verification.
Is it on the email?
Is it, I think it's on the email that came in. Let me see. Of course, there is this one funny little glitch.
I don't see it on the email. It says that it's Gavin and Janet Sloman G. Not quite sure why Gavin's still on there, but. My guess is that if Gavin's still on there, that it's still using the Salt Lake address.
It could be on that. So Sina's name is Cinna, and in my euphoric state this morning, looking at my phone, I forwarded that to her and said, Sina and April, blah, 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 we're good to go. However, it changed her name to Cinnamon, which it turns out was Sina's nickname in high school.
That's funny.
Her maiden name was something close to sugar, so she was Cinnamon Sugar. And I was like mortified. I'm like, okay, well, there we go. But it's done. So any questions? We'll now start moving forward with getting the grants moving. And the bid process closes the first part of August, I believe.
Yeah, I can't remember when August we. The walkthrough is on, I think it was August 2nd, because the walkthrough is the 25th, and I think we were requesting the post bid either on the 2nd or maybe.
I just looked at,
Maybe
seemed like
the
it was
9th.
the 8th.
Okay, it might be
But
the
anyway, it's on the website. It's on the front page of our website of bluffutah.org.
Maybe it was the 9th, so we could discuss it in our meeting on the 13th.
Probably. Yeah, I think that's right.
Maybe that's when we wanted to hold the joint meeting was on the 13th.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing to remember to put on the agenda for next week,
Yeah.
is to give a heads up to Utah Janaipakea. So, and make sure that as many of us are available. Then if there's nothing else, we'll move to new business, a financial report. Linda?
I barely got the financial report out. I apologize for that. I've been working on it, but again, waiting for a couple big checks, and because that simplifies. I don't have to carry things over, at least on paper, until to the next month. So the one I was waiting for was the basically well water, which of course we know what that is, and the Dufford wall deck bill, which will probably come in tomorrow. So are there any questions about this?
Do you need to have approval, or are you holding it to the next meeting?
There's nothing. Oh,
NetForce is on there that would need approved.
the computers, the
And
network
Hilderson-
computers.
Henderson
So
had an additional one that needs paid. We can approve what's on there.
yeah, that's.
Okay.
What I'll do, the ones that come in after today, I put on the next paper, and I, note that it was July. So it's not a problem.
So I'll make a motion to approve the bills to be paid as posted today.
Second motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm abstaining. I haven't had time to look at it, so
Do you
I'll
want,
abstain. So it's 4 ayes and 1 abstention. Next is a discussion of the Utah League of Cities and Towns Annual Conference, which is scheduled for September 4th and 5th in Salt Lake City. There's an early bird special registration, so we get a little break if we register early versus registering late. The other benefit to registering early is you generally can get the hotel that they've chosen at the rate that they have for the league, rather than having to go to an overflow hotel, which can be a pain in the whatever to have to carry your stuff to and from the hotel. And it's not something you get to choose where their overflow is. So not having ever had to use the overflow for the league, I've liked being on the closer hotel site. I've been asked to be on a panel for Utah Wellness. I have not responded, in part because my schedule is going to be pretty horrific August and September, and I'm not sure that I will be going to the league, so I may not be, I may decline the panel and ask that somebody else take that seat. But if you know that you want to go, if you would let me know so that I can get it, I can take a closer look at how many, and we have the funds for everyone to go. That's easy. It's a good one for networking.
Starts, I'm assuming 8 a.m.-ish on the 4th?
Yeah.
Okay.
And usually they use a lot of the time for networking, which is nice. And so the keynote is probably going to be like at 8:30, and then it's kind of a long keynote, and people come in and out and come in and out. And then there's usually a dinner on the first night, which I've never attended, quite honestly, or had us pay for because they don't do vegetarian options well, and I'm not going to waste everybody's money. But it is good networking. And what we have done in the past is one time we've carpooled, one time we took the shuttle when weren't very many people. But if there's enough people, it makes it worthwhile to carpool.
I'm assuming we would have our regular meeting the Tuesday before.
Yeah, so just let me know. I'll double check the dates. The date of the early bird registration. Erin will most likely go, and then just let me know. We'll put it together and I'll get it on the next agenda, unless the early bird closes before that, in which case I will just register everybody that wants to go, and then we can approve it after that. Any questions about it? Is there any other?
I would like to make a brief discussion about West Park. It's on our capital improvements project list to put an ADA sidewalk in there. Bluff Historic Preservation Association is getting ready to pour the concrete for the kiosk and placing it, and Malia's worked with them to place it. But the question I wondered is if we are ready to bump that up, and how much time it would take to approve doing it all at once, having the platform for the sign tie into the ADA sidewalk into the park. They're ready to move it ahead, but I heard them talking. I said, wait a minute, there's going to also be a sidewalk. They should at least know that that's coming, but maybe just do it all at once. The same contractor, it would be cheaper to have one person do the whole thing, but it would need to be, not 6 months process to figure it out. So I wondered if there was any consensus to have them wait till the town can do it, or if they should just move ahead with their portion and hope that the sidewalk can tie into it later.
Well, I'm a little uncomfortable with having any kind of even a consensus when I have no idea what our community manager has discussed with them or what the weigh-in is on that kiosk. I feel like we need to include Malia Collins in the discussion. And then about the capital improvement plan piece of it. We don't have another meeting until August, whatever that date is. When are they planning on doing that, Lou, do you know?
Well, that's, they're ready to go for it now. And they can go ahead and do whatever they're gonna do, because they have met with Malia and Debbie and Tina have met with Malia and they know where it goes and whatnot. So they can put the pad there and then just, you know, it would just be a little trickier for a concrete person to bring in the sidewalk and tie that evenly into that pad would be the advantage of doing it all at once. Because the same person spreading that pad could go ahead and form in the sidewalk and probably a little pad where you park, I would think, so that you could open up, pop your wheelchair out and roll up and go. So they're willing to wait to do it all as one project. But it just, occurred to me that we just approved that money to do that as a capital improvement, but I didn't know how approved it was. Like, can we move forward and just do it?
No, because the capital improvement project is like a wish list. It lists out what we want and our priority. But to move it up, we need a vote. 1, 2, we need estimates. 3, what is the cost that we would be looking at and where does it fall in our procurement policy? And it would have to be, the design factor, like where does the sidewalk go? That's another piece where I know they had to look at the kiosk to make sure they avoided any electrical stuff for irrigation stuff and all that. So I feel like it's a bigger question than should we do it now?
And that's kind of what I was wondering with everybody, like, is there motivation and enthusiasm to do the whole project, or do we just let them move ahead? And
I think that as long as we let the contractor know that we want to eventually add something to that, they can put the proper stubbins in the base of their pad, and then it's not too difficult to
just make it smooth transition.
Yeah.
And
You just want to make sure you have the rebar, the rebar extended so that it can join properly and not shift and do weird things.
Yep, exactly. I feel like it's easier for them to design around us adding it in later than for them to get caught up in our process, just for their own benefit. Like, just go ahead and get it and we'll work around it, as opposed to them working around us.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, well, that's what I would ask for, just to see what the idea was. So I will let them know.
Okay, and I'll
And so
just-
they are aware that we're bringing that we want to do a sidewalk up to it.
They weren't aware of it before today, and I just overheard the conversation of getting it going, and I said, hey, wait a minute, we just approved or talked about everybody really wants to do the sidewalk. And so and I think that's part of why Malia is on the call today, is just to hear what we all wanted to do.
Yeah, I think we just need to push that out a little bit and let them do, and then it's their call if they want to wait and tie it, wait and tie it together. We can get to it this fall, but right now.
So it could be this fall. That's kind of the timeline. Like, is it a year away, or if they waited till September?
That's a bigger discussion, and you know how I feel about getting too in depth in the other because it's not on the agenda and people aren't aware we're talking about it. So I think this just needs, if we want to have more of a discussion, I can put it on the 6th, August 6th. And we could do that. In the meantime, I'm going to have to let Malia do her job and figure it out.
Yeah, so I guess we can toss it back to Malia and see if she encourages that, or
I'm sure Malia.
or is it just kind of a flat no? Because there's no point in bothering.
No, we
Malia
can't.
if
Yeah, flat no would sound like a vote.
Well,
Stop, everybody,
just to
time.
make it,
Okay.
if there's not support, there's no point.
I'm putting it on the August 6th meeting for further discussion. Malia can just move forward with what she feels is appropriate as the manager at this point.
Okay.
Anything else?
There is the planning and zoning tomorrow night. I already mentioned that. So.
You'll-
And then, 7 o'clock. 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 7 o'clo
I just wanted to say that I really thought about canceling this meeting because there were so few items and I'm not, the reason I kept it on, in case you're wondering, is about the time I cancel it, and we're gonna go almost 3 weeks to the next one, something would have popped up. So I appreciate that everybody's bearing with it and stay cool.
I
It
don't think you'll have
is.
any complaint about a short meeting.
It is 4:49 PM.
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, thank you all. I'm turning off the recorder.
Awesome. Have a great night. Thank y'all.